Compare it to what happened county, the acting county clerk reads out a list of a dozen savings that they claim to have identified in their budget. And then the chairman says, okay, so we've got our budget, we'll formalise that at the meeting on, it's without anybody being able to see what those numbers were.
Never answered the question. Chair kept asking, do we need the person She could never answer. She didn't have any answer.
Well, I think she did know, but she didn't want it to be posted. I mean, the biggest scare about that, I mean, it's great that our taxes are off, but they're taking 2 million out of their reserves to balance their operating budget. And I would, if I don't understand their finances totally right, I've looked at them. Taking 2 million, you've got reserves as reserves, not to balance the day-to-day budget. You know, it's like taking the money out of your savings account to balance what you're going to spend.
Okay, we have this
Shakespeare. I did.
a couple times,
Could you use the mic so we can hear you?
different council members. I know, but I'm gonna work with a group right now.
Okay.
And so I wanna make sure we get more specific so that we give exactly clear direction out of this process to the staff. So if you said to cut contract services, which both of you want to sign, please be specific about which line item in the budget so that there's clear direction to staff and with us. If we leave it too generic, they're not gonna know where to get that, right? So, we just need to figure out that. I didn't say that, but. No, I mean, I'm not trying to point out anybody that said I was.
I said it.
Okay.
So my question is, I understand what you're doing here, but where are we trying to get to? Are we trying to take this current budget and not do any taxes increases and get to a final thing? Or what is the outcome here? Because that's gonna be how we mitigate.
So also in listening to a lot of things, I think there was a lot of comments about, do we set the tax rate and then only do a budget that meets the tax rate set, right? And then I think there was some consensus and some concern about the fact that should that not be the reverse? Should we not set our priorities as we see them? And then, well, we have to pay for what we have to pay for, right? And so we are working in the opposite direction in this exercise so that we see exactly where we're at the end of this. Now, I don't know that that means that there will be any tax rate, maybe it will get cut to that, but we'll at least know what we're looking at with what consensus we form behind these items.
Yes, we've advertised the tax rate.
Correct.
If you're going to change that to go up, we have to do another public hearing.
Nothing can go up. That has already been settled at the last council meeting.
So
That
you
was-
just took what you said on the table as far as.
I'm sorry. I'm talking about from the current rate that we're set in 24, not to the advertised rate. That is the decisions we have ahead of us, right? Is that we only can go up to the advertised rates.
Which
That
is the correct rate.
No, for lodging and meals, that is not the
If we
current
bring
rate.
that down, if we bring it back up, we gotta have another public hearing.
We did not vote that down, all we did was defer it to have another council work session, which is what we're doing right now.
I'm sorry, could the clerk clarify that?
For last meeting, it did not pass, but it doesn't. Right.
My understanding is you had two votes on the meals and lodging. The first vote was on a higher rate, that failed. Second vote was on a lower rate or vice versa. They both failed, but that does not mean you can't raise meals and lodging now.
We are still working through the budget
Right,
process.
to the advertising.
We did not vote on the budget, right? That's why we're all here today doing this exercise. So we do have to get to a budget by July 1, by state mandate. We have a lot of bills that we can't change in the budget, so we're trying to find things that we have control over in that process. Any other resolution out of this can come up. I think that there's a lot of different goals in the group, and I understand that. Right now, I'm just trying to figure out all the line items that are in the budget. What is their consensus around changing? And I think in this process too, is really important that we give a lot of respect to the staff that work really hard on all these requests, because all of these ideas up here are, to change what they ask us to do, right? So I just want to make sure thank you to all the department heads, to Lisa, to the town manager, to the clerk, to all of you guys. We very much appreciate it. We're working this out, and I really appreciate you being here with us through this. And please don't take offense to any of the hard work that you have done throughout this process.
I have more questions.
Yes.
So obviously, none of us wanted to reach the advertised rate, right? That was kind of evident. My next question is how much money will we need to cut out of this budget to get down to the zero tax increase?
Lisa? I have a rough number, but I want to make sure we get that.
The reason why I'm asking is to ensure that whatever we cut, those services will no longer be available. Right? So just making sure that we as a body and the public understands that what we delete, we don't have.
The revenues is also on the last part of the second staple. The current proposed budget is 10.638, and the current revenue without the increase in those volume was 10.85.
Yes. So,
So is that the number?
$453,838.69.
Yeah, 453, I was getting around.
What is that 275 number we were talking about before?
Did you get?
Karen, can you get your mic, please? Sorry. I'm sorry. At the last meeting, we were talking about the increase in the meals and lodging tax would generate $275,000, and that was going to balance the budget, if I recall. It was an approximate number, not an exact number, but. And now we're talking 400 or something.
You had brought that number up, and I'm not sure where that came from. When I did the math, it was around 400.
Well,
Yeah,
I was
I get it.
misinformed then.
yeah, I understand. Or maybe it was the answer to a different question.
I think that's what we were looking at before we had the salary adjustments. So I'm looking at now, I've got 287 out the salary adjustment.
So that's a different amount.
We might have been looking at the wrong line.
So we're total of what, 400 and?
450,
473?
453. And I think in the revenue pages, there is the last two columns are 2 and 2 and 2 and 3. just to make that clear, what is a 1 and a 1? What's the difference between a 1 and 1? Okay.
If we did a 1% increase in meals and 1% increase in lodging and cottage, that would bring us to 10,340,73, which would leave us with a $254,867 deficit.
So 1 and 1 is 254.
Just for clarity's sake, Lisa, the 1 and 1 gives us how many dollars? Specifically.
And 3.
Now, what is the additional amount to generate? No, I'm sorry, I'm just trying to make sure I'm being clear.
Adding 1% to meals. Adding 1% to meals and 1% to lodging and cottage gives us $198,970.
Okay, thank you, ma'am.
1% is roughly 200. Yes, Dave.
I'm just wondering, I don't know, just watching the last county meeting, their board of supervisors sent the budget back to the
That's one of the suggestions.
administrator to have him or her do the work. So, I mean, I'm okay with council sitting down and looking at some of these things, maybe setting some priorities for the town manager for direction, but to go line by line when we don't know all the details underlying a lot of these items doesn't seem to be very fruitful.
We're not going line by line, these are ideas, direction to get back to the town manager and who will represent us. And one of the ideas up there is to just send it back to her, to just send it back.
Right.
So we could also use.
Thank you.
Yeah. I think they have, the staff has presented their effort and we're the ones bringing back the feedback, so to make sure the feedback we get back out of this session today, our time together, is very clear for the staff about exactly what the items are that we would be willing to, as Mr. Allison pointed out, means that we do not have that service today. Right? And again, like, in order to make it clear, let's be more specific about which contract services. So, because there's several different departments that this much of. Yeah.
If y'all are looking at contract professional service, I want you all to remember that some of these are contracts that we're obligated to fulfill with these vendors. So they're looking at those line items.
Let's see what comes up out of it, okay?
Just want to clarify that.
Yeah. I'm sure other items will be.
The money difference is right there. You know, income projected between the actual collected.
I'm just gonna leave it up there for general.
It's $450,000.
Anybody still working? Okay. All right, so the next step in the process is, to, give your feedback and see what items we can come with consensus to, if there are items of consensus up there. The yard sale stickers that you have in front of you. Is anybody colorblind? Okay. Well, Rick brought it up, and then I know that.
I told her.
Okay. So if it's a yellow or a green, sticker, then that means you have consensus to, it doesn't, it's not a vote, it's not an official vote. It's just that it's something that you would consider. Okay, it's an idea that you would consider that you'd like to discuss, okay? Something that you probably would be open to being in favor of, okay? The pink stickers are something that you absolutely would not. I wouldn't say, you do not have to put a sticker on every thing. So be conservative with the pink stickers in the sense that to stay open-minded to other people's ideas and suggestions that have been put up there, okay? If there is indeed something that you would absolutely not entertain, I will still want you to have an opportunity to put that opinion up there, because if there is an item that has 3 or more pink stickers, then to be honest with you, I don't want to waste everybody's time here, right? So we're going to try to narrow it down to the things that have momentum to get direction to center, okay? Are there any questions about this next part? Yes, Mr. Williams?
So once the stickers are on there, and we show that it's a possibility, then council will vote to push it forward,
Then we will-
discuss and vote to push it forward.
Yeah, and we're gonna take the items that have the most positive stickers on them first. So we're gonna be discussing the items that have the most consensus as the highest priority, okay? And maybe we can get to a back. Yeah.
Should we suggest that maybe we do green for a definite, yellow for maybe, and then
I think this is a great
for
suggestion.
definitely not?
Okay, did everybody hear Mr. Williams?
Either you consider it or you won't consider it, so I don't think there's enough stickers for us to discriminate.
Okay.
But
So the
I have
yellow and
I have more stickers too.
I'm gonna say yellow and green are the same, you need them the same.
I'm saying that it's saying.
Okay, that's fine, me too. Okay.
I just did it the same. I think that's a good suggestion though. Well, you're welcome to put green and yellow stickers that way, or not, whatever you're. Everybody clear on the sticker choice? Alright, get up and stretch a little bit, everybody has to board at one time. Get a chance, you can walk by it, you can come back to it, it'll take a few minutes to. Okay? Pink is a veto. The pink is I do not support that. Is that?
Not a veto.
Not a veto, but it's, no.
More like a city block.
Do you want some stickers?
And then the guys there, there's the guy down there, cheaper.
I just wait until we get, oh, the one, oh, I figured, we can talk to each other. That was it. So, yeah.
When they choose to lose certain senses.
Well, until at least this point, at least this point,
How are you, my dear? Oh, thank you. I was just putting it in my mouth for that reason. Thank you. I forgot to do that. I forgot to put them in my bag. I have them in my car. Okay. Thank you.
no, that we can't. No, yeah, you should, because we don't know who this is. And just because you wrote it, that doesn't mean you voted for it. It's just that you put it in there. And I'm really, if you like your own idea, you need to put a sticker on it. It's not default that you thought it was a good idea, you might have just put other
So they're just trying to get, none of them even have this.
So we know the process that they're going through.
Oh, I think we're gonna know more. They do this exercise.
No more, they let you know the process.
Heather also has snacks in the back. A couple granola bars.
I'd like 3 stacks of it.
Otherwise, this is better than snack. When we get to going through them, you'll hear them out loud too.
It's all that stuff that you could have every department have 5%. We had to get more. Because I waited and I had to get up at 6 a.m.
So I tried to do this. I think this is the $6,000 for the internships, paid internships. This is the $69,000 for the return. Okay, let me get a pen.
Yeah. That's how much we have.
So this one is the reverse interns, the retirees.
Of the total.
Of the total.
The challenge with that is,
That's the
I want to make this up.
Correct.
The budget is outside their control. Unless you're going to
This was from last week's meeting.
unless you're going to get to the schools or, other things that you're not going to police department, you know,
Insurance and all
all insurance and things.
retirement.
The payment on the debt.
Yeah, that's right, yeah. So in my head, this isn't something that I have, really discretionary is less than half the contract budget. So the issue becomes 10%, not. I'm oversimplifying it, but that was what I was.
You could have such insurance, send it back to the third department, find savings or that.
Is that what I was
Yeah.
And still.
And I think,
So that's what we're doing.
so David has the opinion, so we spend too much on contract services. I'm not sure it's much on, but, there is an argument. Should do some of these things, as contract services.
And maybe that's a better idea. I
Hired
yeah.
because we're not competitive.
Right, well, part of it, yeah, but that's a way to get the number down.
Oh, and for people that weren't in the room a minute ago, you do have to put a sticky note on your own idea if you do like your idea.
You got few, and, you have no one to put the trash on the.
And one tab per
That's
or
what.
idea.
Or, I mean, I'm not.
So don't-
We are.
Don't
put 3 stickers on one.
You get one color per idea.
Right.
Please.
He's so sweet. When we get stuff and the town meeting,
Oh, I think, yeah, I don't think that's, I don't think.
Oh, I'm not talking
No.
about this. What happened 10 years happened.
Okay.
We watched. the town go to, but they told them, I don't know. Pam Rivers came here that year. Crap. Take a break every now and
Yeah.
Oh, God, yes. And it is what it's like, which is crazy. If you look at, the chairman, they did their, I think, 5.
Yeah, she got a lot.
And one of them is a chair, it's not like here, we'll get a separate thing.
What's his name? Jerry.
Fisher?
Fisher's chair. They took, oh, you didn't know that. It was, last night was a pilot. So guess who's chair? My old
We'll go over this.
He was the chair.
Right.
He wouldn't. Because he forget. And he just. Daryl was sitting at the they went into a closed session.
Yes, I know. I will come in here with some like.
They come out, they need their consensus. He's still, so we cheer.
Oh my gosh.
I don't know what was going on.
It was Daryl's like, at least I feel like because I used to. So I went to one. And he's my picture.
It wasn't, I sat next to it.
Did you sit next to him? My understanding is Ben wrote a few things to everybody's town.
This one, I have to check a lot more. But I, you know. Yeah, absolutely. Okay, fine. Oh, it's up there. This one, 16 amendments. These are like retiring.
Oh, I didn't, yeah, I was recovering from running in the parade.
She's everything.
She really is.
I'm excited. I got so excited. I worked. They went too fast. She's in her car on First Street. Oh my gosh. She got around. You forget how frustrating it is.
You be more quiet.
It's like, then I see this Marshall. It's just took the first 3 weeks. For that, you almost. They both she almost did me. New York tonight, I mean, that's. It works. We got free. We got free money. She's such a lovely. Were they good? Yeah. I love her. She has 3 dogs. So that could be the required thing they got to provide. Yes.
So how much is the line item?
Well, I'm gonna wait.
Yeah, it's like when you get something on Amazon and all of a sudden the price goes down next week. So it's the same item.
I took first of what they need.
She did really well for the year. She wants to study law. The boys are the boys. She's gonna be 5 and 7. They're so different.
Initiatives, so there you have stuff on it too. Have the same stuff that goes on.
Gave my gifts, but they want.
Let people know it's new to them.
Everybody goes to college. They get paid when they want to do. And then they change. Because they've not.
We're supposed to get a haircut for back today, but pretty cars or,
What's your name?
or Sally from Foster Brothers. So they're you know, of the train things.
They should take off the LA.
Sure. It's always hard.
So how's things coming on the brewery?
Don't even get me started. They're not.
Well, the whole point is I do want to get you started.
I don't know.
Are you waiting for the county or inspection, health inspection?
Inspect out, permits were not for permits, not her contractor told us. So now the county's getting, now the county is, we're not a priority. You know, the hard part is, you know,
So I used to, always lived in Virginia, but I used to work in, the contractor was really, sorry? Oh, Manhattan. I used to, no, I lived in, Prince William County for 28 years, but,
Oh, yeah, those things are.
I used to go
I see what you're
and
saying.
shuttle up to New York every Monday morning and come back at the end of the week. But I was in interior construction, all the edges of that, and, you'd hire
And then you.
owners who hire estimators to deal with it. You'd actually pay people to get stuff, zoning and all that stuff. In Manhattan, it was who paid.
And that was that half of that
The quote we got from Hartman, Lee Hartman.
Well,
Right. And that was that, 20,000 for that.
So we make it up for
they had to put all the water and drain and the electrical for.
The first year,
Okay. Has everybody had a chance to put your sticky caps? Any other? All right, so, there are people that have 3 or more, so I'm going to remove those right now and set them aside, so we stay focused. Yeah, I'm gonna read them all.
And these are the,
She's gonna go back to mine.
didn't have also lots.
These ones were the ones with 3 or more paint stickers. Okay, and some of them, just for the audience understanding, there may be several versions of the same idea up here as well. So, I don't know if that's the case yet with these, because I haven't read them, but maybe something gets mixed and a different version of that same thing can still be on the form, okay? All right, this one says, remove the public works director from the 2025 budget, make Chris an interim and temp, and use him voting while we have them. And that's next. Open positions, hire junior positions instead of senior. Match the fire department grant to the revenue, which is, 15,000 versus 18,000. Cut the GIS contract,
What is the GIS?
Geographic Informational System. It's a mapping program we use in public works. Cut new unfunded items, IT the radio station. Eliminate or freeze positions, example, the grant writer and assistant town manager. Okay, now I do know there are different versions of some of those things. Okay. So now we're going to prioritize talking about the things that have the most positive. And so, this one had all 7 on it. Oh,
It's gotta be wrong.
all 7. All 7. That's a win.
I might just say it.
Get out of here. You're not supposed to say, no, I think they all 7. All right, and it was up there several different times, obviously 3 different cities, so several people also, this thing, consideration. And it is to, combine the duties of, town manager and grant writer. So to make those 2 positions, assistant, that's what I'm sorry, the assistant town manager and grant writer, and to combine those 2 duties. Is this a suggestion that there's still continued consensus to cost of staff to make a budget?
I think I misread that. I think I misread that one. I was thinking that it would put the grant writing duties under the town manager, but that's actually creating a new position, basically.
No, I think it's to take two people and put them into one.
So eliminate the grant writer and the assistant town manager will fill the duties of the grant writer instead of hiring that position, so that funding would be cut.
Okay, so the combined. But if you didn't support either one, I put a sticker on there and I would not support it, but, so, sorry about the consensus.
No, that's okay, you did. So, yeah, no, I'm reading this as revising the position as it's written to perform dual duties. Kind of way the assistant town manager, when Natasha was, that was also HR, that it would be the same way. That,
If I could, I wrote
Yeah,
it,
sure.
so if I could just clarify what I was trying to say, because I have.
you said I,
Thank you. I have a different one that says eliminate the grant writer and contract ed. That is actually to combine the assistant town manager and the grant administrator. So it's much easier to get someone in that manager position that knows how to administer the existing grants and make sure we conform to the requirements of those grants. You can't always get somebody with the skills to write a grant that would come in at that with that experience. That's what I was looking at.
okay, yeah, I think grant administration is probably a priority right now anyway. We have over $800,000 in grants and another $5 million in the DEQ fund. The administration of those funds is what you're being specific about.
Yes.
Okay?
And I would agree with Dr. Self-Solomon on that. Yeah, it's much easier to get an assistant town manager who is qualified to be a grant administrator. Is that a fair statement, Madam Town Manager?
In my experience, grant writing skills is not something that an assistant town manager typically has, but that doesn't mean that that isn't an experience that they do possess. So that is a question that I would have to flesh out if I move forward with that in an interview process.
But let's make sure we're being specific, not a grant writer, but a grant administrator.
We're talking about the compliance part of the grants.
That is a skill that could be learned. So I would say that an assistant town manager could learn compliance of the grants.
It would be an easier lift than the other. Thank you.
I think we're wonderful at finding needles in haystacks.
Very optimistic with Allison. Okay, okay, and again, this is a consensus forming thing, so is it out of consensus to continue to keep this as a revision of the budget? I'm looking for consensus.
I would look for it.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. I'm seeing overall consensus. And I will say, there will be items up here that every single one of us is not going to be happy about, okay? At some point in time throughout this process, right? So, that is part of it too. Okay. Next up with the most, this has 6. Both of these have 6, okay. This has 6. Up for discussion, allow the town manager to fund the one-time purchases with freed up ARPA funds. And that is the video, of the AV for town hall, the workstation, and the, like Natasha, the other 2 items on the list.
The workstation for additional employees, the public workshops upgrades, and the parking meters.
The shop upgrade and the parking meter. So this is under discussion, but I know there's other, items up here that some of those items on that same list to just nix them. Do we wanna go more specific and talk about that first, or do we want to talk about?
Why don't we talk about the ones that we want to nix, because that way we can reverse engineer.
Alright. So the first one is the civic clerk subscription.
Is that
It's only got one
the ones that
cost.
she was gonna fund?
1, 2, 3.
Well, there's two different things there. Are they both the same?
Yeah, no software
That's,
for the town council meetings, I thought was also the same as the civic clerk subscription.
Okay.
Right, that's the software.
so it's not the audio video equipment. Okay.
Okay, I see what you're saying. Do you want me to?
Well, I just want to make sure there wasn't two things there. Audio
Okay,
video.
well, let's just tackle this one because it's in my hand, right?
That's the civic clerk software.
I'm in favor of making that just personally.
So just to clarify, that is something we haven't purchased yet, and that, we've kind of resolved the problem with purchasing it.
We would just continue doing the things we do today, like YouTube connection, and she would have to do the meeting minutes rather than having transcription from the software, that kind of stuff.
We're not using those services now at all,
Correct.
and things are running smoothly.
Close.
Better?
Yes. Yeah, but what messes up is due to the internet, like when it drops off of YouTube.
Well, civic clerk isn't gonna change that. Okay. So, there's some consensus on this one?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Oh, I think I got a 7. All right. All right, what was some of the other ones that?
Heather, we'll try again next year.
Sorry, Heather.
No, I'm a little uncomfortable, but it's all right.
Which,
Here's one. It's the new parking meter. That was one of the one-time purchases from, the other sticky note. Okay, there's $11K in there for an initial parking meter.
I personally think that brings in money, but was there 3 people who said, well, there's 1 veto and
There's veto on it.
Yeah, I have-
Somebody doesn't wanna do
So
it.
I have
Two.
some questions
Sure.
about it.
Yep.
So is this a mobile parking meter that can be rolled out when one goes down? Or is this an extra one that somebody has to install that's sitting in our warehouse?
The original intention of that was to add additional meters throughout town to make it easier. We have not been able to make that happen as of yet. This would be, right now, the first one would be a spare in case we have a complete meter failure, that we can remove the failed one and put our backup in place.
But it wouldn't be instant, it'd have to be installed.
What's the timetable of having it installed? Is it a day or is it 2 days or?
If it's here and set up and ready to go, it can be changed out in a matter of hours.
I agree with David. I think it makes money and it doesn't confuse our visitors or that kind of stuff. It's better to have one on hand.
Put it in with the ARPA pod.
ARPA pod. Any other comments before I put it in the ARPA pod? Okay. Working it out. All right, there was another one in here that was.
They have some person.
the AV upgrade, wait, did we talk about that one already? No, we talked about the subscription, here's the AV upgrade, this is the equipment one.
That's part of the one time,
No, that's,
right?
This is one of the one-time expenditures, however, a technician, having some hours for a technician to come out, being in the budget, would probably be a continued expense, but this is the bulk of it, right? Is that right, for, is this $20K?
Yeah, so in that line item, it was $22,040, and $2,040 of that amount was for an on-call technician that I averaged out to be an hour per meeting, 24 meetings, at $85 an hour, which is the rate that was on the lead parking quote. So
So 20 of the 22.5 is for the actual physical equipment one-time expenditure costs.
So what's the vote to one-time ARPA funds or to not have it at all?
Either one. Either
Council already said it as a priority in the prior meeting.
So, I'm sorry, thank you. I like the idea of the one-time ARPA funds. I'm just not sure how much money we have that is disposable in one-time ARPA funds, and if we might need to prioritize that pile later.
Sure, we can come back to that. I think it's about $300,000 left in ARPA that last email that I had checked. So we're putting in the ARPA file for right now.
ARPA,
ARPA file.
top, I think it's in your top.
So not mixing it, just putting it in the ARPA file.
So I got a question.
Yeah.
So we were told not too long ago that we DEQ recently, within, I think, the last couple of months, maybe last month, said we could take the 2.1 that we spent on central drainage and use it elsewhere. So we already spent almost $2.8 million, or $1.8 million. Now how come there's only $300,000 left in the ARPA funds?
The reimbursement has not happened yet.
Oh, so we're not even counting that?
Right.
Okay, got it.
Yeah. That's
That's part of the grant, that's
over.
part of the grant administration thing, right?
Yeah, the reimbursement has not happened yet. I think that, does that clarify your?
Yes, that
question?
clarifies.
Yes.
So we have money, we just don't have it yet, is the short answer.
Yeah,
We haven't fulfilled all of the things necessary. to
we
get
need
them
grant compliance.
And see, that's one of the things I think that we need to make sure that we're aware of, is that we don't want to be penny wise and pound foolish, because we don't want to fund a position, we can't get $2 million. So again, we need to make sure that the
Yeah,
things that we do are going to have consequences, as the vice mayor pointed out.
yeah,
Because what we don't vote for, we ain't got.
yeah. Right now, I'm just trying to group together ideas that are going to move forward. Okay, that's what I'm trying to do right now, so that there gives clear direction to staff. Okay, so these, down in this corner, are the grouped ideas, that are going forward right now, okay? So again, I'm keeping with the things that have the most positive stickers on them. I got 6 stickers on this one. The 3 intern positions, eliminate them. This is, up for discussion now. It is, I just want to clarify, these are 3 people who currently work for us.
So I think that goes hand in hand with whether or not we mix some of those part-time positions that would take place of those. And I have problems with mixing both the interns and the part-time positions.
If you can match those items.
Interns up,
Other
can you
ones.
match those interns up to the other things?
I do the interns overlap with any of the other
Parks and
positions that were
Rec.
added.
Parks and Rec, part-time, that's what the interns is doing that.
No, that's not true. Who are what 3 positions are the reverse interns?
Oh, the reverse interns.
Right, isn't that what this? Correct. Yes.
Okay,
These are
so-
retirees that work part-time for the town after they're retired.
So we have one reverse intern assisting with IT. We have another reverse intern assisting Public Works. And a third intern, yes, is with Parks.
Oh, okay.
And that one, he is a floater. He also helps planning as well.
So let me make sure I understand. 3 reverse interns, and we're talking about a potential floater between Public Works and Parks and Recs, right? So that's 4 positions, not 3.
No, he does Parks and Recs and floats within administration.
So there are only 2 other reverse
Yes.
interns.
The,
Okay, I'm sorry, okay.
I will tell you too, for my opinion out there, these reverse interns love working for the town. They do it for pennies of what a full-time employee costs. And it is a good deal for them and the town in this manner. That's just my opinion.
So I think there's some part-time positions up there that I may have voted to keep or not. Are any of those positions currently being serviced by these reverse interns, those vacant part-time positions? I thought there was a vacant part-time position in Parks and Rec, and that's why I thought this reverse intern was filling that position, and I would have a problem mixing both.
So there is, 2 other park and rec staff tickets up here. Maybe we will group those together and have a discussion about that, okay, so we can make some clarity out of this. Yeah,
So right now, Parks and Rec, we have a vacancy for our full-time director. Sally Adams is a part-time employee who's filling that role. She currently was previously the assistant, which was a part-time position. So we hire a full-time director, the other position would be an assistant, which would be part-time. And we were asking for a Parks and Rec maintenance person in this way.
that is one of these other stickies.
I
Yes,
thought we were transferring one from Public Works to Parks and Rec.
for the maintenance position. But it is on a sticky to discuss.
So since there's so many up there, can we get a clarification on, we've got an opening for a full-time Parks and Rec director. Is there anything up there that says nix that position? I think there was one that says nix all open positions or something.
That one was taken off the board.
Was it? Okay.
There is. All right, let's park that one for a second and just do the 2 that are related to Parks and Rec. So one of them is eliminating the Parks and Rec part-time employee, which is someone who also is currently employed for the town. This one is Nick's the park maintenance crew person in Parks and Rec, and this would be a new position that is not currently employed.
That one's got 2 vetoes, so I mean, that seems, that didn't get enough support to be move forward.
Yeah, I took the ones that had 3 or more vetoes off, but yes, it does have 2 on it, so maybe a contentious issue right now. I put the green sticker on it, to be totally frank with you.
May I ask a member of staff a question? Mr. Rocky, if the part-time position wasn't created, can Public Works pick up the slack if that person is not hired? And to
Currently,
be frank,
Public Works is maintaining the parks to the best of our ability. It's being done right now. We mow them, we walk them, we clean them, we pull the trash. It would, if we had the position, it would take burden off of us, but it could stay status quo for that 2 in the morning.
thank you.
Yeah, so my concern on that is that my understanding is sometimes when we got a festival or something going on and there is conflict between who needs somebody most, Parks and Rec or Public Works.
So I do think that the director position, eliminating the director position, is not on this board. So that position is, at this point in time, not to be nixed. It's not up for discussion. So I will say, and that still is an additional person. This would be a 3rd person.
Can we get a breakdown for salaries for those people? I mean, we're pension pennies, we got no pennies on.
The park maintenance person was under the 6-month position is $22,000.
So if we hire, we're committing to 40-some thousand, because next year they're gonna have to be, unless we want to get rid of them.
And that was with
Let's
benefits.
be do it seasonally. Let's be only hire them during the summer.
Or just seasonal employee. That was with benefits in the VRS that I'm estimating that is the official math, I'm just giving some general.
I mean, I'm looking at this as if you're part-time parks and rec maintenance, our busy season would be the time that you would need that person. Now, it is harder to hire someone part-time, for any job, if they're not willing to, most people want a full-time job that pays benefits and everything else, but we can look at it as a part-time position that's only during the busy season from April to October or whatever, and fund it that way.
Yeah,
We'll just have to direct the town manager to do that.
I'm surprised the town doesn't have seasonal employees, because there's a lot of stuff that only happens in the summer. Is there a reason that we've never looked at that, Chris,
We used to have a couple of seasonal employees that we hired in the summer and for the summer season for public works. Those had been eliminated years ago. As Kenny pointed out, it's hard to find someone who only wants to work a season.
And I would imagine, what we don't want to do is add to Mr. Rucky's burden, where we give you a low-quality employee because we're kind of scraping from what we can do. So,
I will just think it's important to note that one of the interns at 20K is doing a part-time in public works right now.
Okay.
Which is less than 44.
thanks for the clarification on that.
I'm sorry to interrupt you.
No, thanks for the clarification. That's important information. Because that part-time employee gives us a lot of bang for the buck.
I have a separate logistics question. I have a Parks and Rec person that's going to be cutting the grass. He then has to come, or she has to come to you to get a truck, trailer, lawnmower, all those items to cut the grass at the parks instead of y'all doing them.
Is this for grass cutting?
That's not for grass cutting. It's
I didn't think it was for
specifically
everything.
for the playground equipment, it would be, correct me if I'm wrong, also for, helping maintain the bathrooms, which is a every day, 7 days a week issue that we have to deal with and maintain. And help during festivals. There would be event support as well.
So it would be like a designated person
Yes.
and for those particular things as opposed to whoever happens to be on duty in public works.
If I may ask a question. So let me ask you, Mr. Rucker. Because staff input is the most important part of this. And there are nice to haves and gotta haves. And honestly, we don't want to put you in a situation where you're denying yourself a gotta have. Okay? Is this person somebody that would bring so much value to your department that we should look?
Not for my department.
It's for Parks and Rec.
I understand, but they work part-time for him.
No, they don't. They would work with Parks and Rec.
Okay.
Which is not here.
But he's presently fulfilling that particular role, right?
Yes.
Okay, so now we're talking about semantics. So the question is, if we do not hire this person, does that put an owner's burden on you?
It would stay status quo as it has been for the last 3 years, 4 years. Where Public Works takes the responsibility to make sure that things are clean, how she's picked up, and walking the playground, making sure they're safe.
Okay, thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
So I'd like to say that during this weekend's festival, it has been a tremendous burden on Public Works and finding adequate personnel to just help with the events this summer. There's one particular Public Works worker who managed over I forget what the, exact number of hours, but he maxed out, his hours, and as a result, he had to be paid, overtime. So this was just one person who had to shoulder the entire burden for a really, really big event, that the Potomac River Fest is. So while, to Chris's credit, staff does try to maintain and provide a level of service that's required of us, but it is a burden, and not having that additional staff or parts would alleviate a tremendous burden from the staff that Chris has, the limited amount of staff that he has.
Do you want to put it in the parking lot?
Sure. Parking lot being things to be considered.
Can you just read that specific one more time?
This one is Nick's, the park maintenance crew person in Parks and Rec. This is an employee we do not have now. Okay, parking lot, I'm gonna put over here in this corner, we'll come back to those things, okay? This one is eliminate the Parks and Rec part-time employee who we currently hire. So, pushing that currently.
I hate eliminating an employee we already have. I really do.
And I don't know how we can eliminate a part-time if we don't have a full-time to replace them.
Correct.
Is this not garnering consensus at this point in time?
To Nick's,
I'm seeing several.
Well, it's got 2 vetoes on it, so.
It does. All right, so I'm gonna put it,
Or opposite the nose.
is there a major objection to putting it off the side?
I say we do not get rid of Sally.
There we go. All right.
I have a question.
Yeah.
I know after we get all through this process, this is just our suggestions to town manager, but we pay her the big bucks to make the important decisions. So I'm assuming she'll come back to us and make justifications why she says this shouldn't happen or that should happen with positions and various things, right? These are just suggestions for her to go back to the drawing board and bring back a new budget with her priorities fulfilled.
Yeah. Somebody just reminded me though, it is our budget.
Yes.
It is council's budget.
Yes,
So-
so at this point, we would need specific,
This is our
direction,
budget.
and this is the opportunity to provide specific direction to come back to you with exactly what, you asked for, so that we can bring back a balanced budget that we can get a vote on.
All
So
right,
basically, we're going through the pieces of it and going, we're nixing this person, we're nixing that software, we're nixing all that kind of stuff. She takes that information and then comes back and says, we're $50 short, we gotta charge something to get there. And that would be the proposed back to us, if I'm understanding that correctly.
yeah,
It's like, we're telling her, our budget, we're telling her, get rid of these positions with consensus or whatever, and then at the end of the day, whatever that money ends up being, if it's the 1% or we're under budget or it needs to be 2% of whatever, then that's what she comes back and says, to meet y'all's requirements, I need to raise it to 0.5%, whatever the outcome will be. And that's what she'll come back as proposed to be a balanced budget.
we're also saying what we're not willing to touch, right? We're not willing to cut certain things, we're not willing to do that. So therefore, it's gonna have to justify a revenue that meets those items.
and if I understand correctly, Madam Mayor, and just to piggyback on what the Vice Mayor said, what our intention today is to give such specific direction that the town manager is going to know exactly what we want and come back with a budget that we can vote on, because we're out of town.
Yeah, correct. Yeah. All right, let's do a fun one. No awards. That's like, I didn't do it, anyway. Awards, no awards, can't remember how much it is.
There is nothing
12.
more important to staff other than their salary that's being recognized. And it doesn't say monetary awards, it says awards. That just makes no sense to me. Why would you tell the town manager not to give awards to her staff for good work?
That one, no.
As someone who did 23 years for the federal government, I've never received an award for anything I've done.
Shame on them.
Shame on them. Really, shame on us, but I don't know, the awards we're talking about, I mean, is it something, you know, like $100 gift card to Domino's, is it a little plastic trophy, like what is it?
It's trophy. No, it's not trophy, it's.
A 10-year award.
Yeah, there's a.
It's $1,200, right? It's $1,200.
Yeah,
Monetary amount.
there's 2 line items, I think.
That's $100 a month on board.
Okay, get that out.
All right, Karen sold me, that's fine.
Alright, she said. Let it over here, unless I feel somebody, okay. There we go, moving along. Alright. I'm gonna come back to that one, that's the parking lot for a minute. We left that in the parking lot for a minute. Which one has more? Here we go. Alright, this one says, I wanna talk about this one, but it may end up in the parking lot and coming back. Send the budget to the town manager and have her bring back the balanced budget. I think to some of the conversation we've had already, we're gonna get a clear direction, and that is what we have an expectation of out of this. And I do wanna make sure that's clearly said. Yes?
Yes.
Well, that's mine, and
Okay.
that would be my preference. Last meeting, I probably screwed up because I called a special meeting, but I would have preferred, just like the county did, send it back to the town manager. She's a professional, we pay her to do this. Have her come back and just balance the budget.
Yeah, but we gotta tell her what to nix to beat the balanced budget.
They don't have to. The county didn't do that. They just said, come back with another budget. And they did. They're 5 cents instead of 17 cents.
And when we saw the county, fire the county administrator, I don't think we want to go through that process. I don't think that's
And they
a
still keep
blueprint for success.
And the budget, originally provided was based on just guidance that I had received initially, so I did for you a budget. And you all are doing exactly what it's supposed to have, and that's discussing, the budget, and you then provide the specific instructions so that we can come back to you.
Yeah, I think we need to get clarity, if we're gonna send it back to her, we have to tell her what we're willing to make changes in and what we're not, and how we're willing to pay or not pay things.
But we could, we're going through the motions, but we could still do that. We could say, okay, these are our priorities, these are the things we set, go back and bring us a balanced budget.
Yes, I do hope that's exactly what happens at the end of this.
Agreed.
Yes. Everybody on the same page then?
Yes.
So
We want a balanced budget.
Okay, so I'm gonna
Our
put that,
consensus of the information we're providing.
I'm putting that over here in these are things going, okay? All right, what else has a lot of stickies on it? This one does, and this one does. Let me do this one first. Oh, this one has more stickies, we'll do that one first. Okay. This one is the additional senior planner in the planning department. This is a vacant position that is, right now vacant. Funded for, it's 6 months right now? Oh, it's not funded. Did I get-
Yes,
I apologize.
the senior planner is not funded. We took that off and we reduced that to a plain tech. I think when someone was looking at the salary spreadsheet, the number that's being brought in there is not in column J, it's actually in column K, and column K has a 0 for the senior planner.
Okay, so how many positions in planning?
So for planning, in the budget that we had presented, we have the director, and we have a planning tech, a code enforcement officer, and then a full-time intern to work the counter,
That's a reverse intern?
not a reverse intern.
A student intern?
Not a student, just looking for an intern who's interested in that type of work, who may be going back to college. For the intern, $23,000 a year. Yeah, a year.
Is that the part-time employee?
We have them budgeted for, I believe, 3 days a week instead of 5 days a week.
So when you look at it, last year's budget was at 204. And now the proposed budget's at 244. So I think the intent of this was whatever is making up the 44 difference. Does that make sense?
Well, they have to understand that we did the salary survey and that new number includes those adjustments based on that salary survey too.
So what is the salary for the tech then?
For
The tech person?
the planning tech?
Yep.
$45,230 salary. With benefits, it comes to $61,712.
And that's not the part-time person.
And what are the qualifications for that position?
I'd have to refer to Mr. Dooley.
Julie?
For the planning tech, basic qualifications is I'm looking for somebody that has at least a year to year and a half experience, that has a basic understanding of community development, what the function of it is, provide customer service, to write perhaps some of the light staff reports, but to fully function as a planner.
So the college degree?
Level. Yes, ma'am.
It is a college
Yes,
degree
ma'am.
and experience.
With at least a year's experience.
Yes, Mr. Hudson.
Now, Mr. Dooley, if you had the tech, the code enforcer, and the intern, would you require Darla at that point?
Yes, sir. Because I need somebody on my staff who is capable of doing heavier lifting. I can do certainly my share of it, but I need additional help to get the department where it needs to be able to function in a way that I can turn to them to provide support that I need for more complicated projects.
And the other role that Darla plays is she is our appointed zoning administrator. So if she was not there, we'd have to appoint somebody else as the zoning administrator.
No, I was looking at the figures of the director's salary, the salary of the tech of $61K, the code enforcer salary, the $23K, and then plus $90K for our contract services. I was trying to eliminate some of my funding there.
What if we rework this to say, kind of like one of these other ones that has like a percentage to it, that would reduce the item by 50K. And wherever within the budget, wherever within that department.
So
I just wanna put it out there.
not directing what position should be eliminated, but to say we need 50K left.
Yeah.
I like that.
That's easy. You're with the tech. You hire an intern, and you grow them within, send them to school, get their experience.
I'm in the direction just to say 50K and then let them.
I don't want to direct the town manager and the director into how to make that cut. I feel like they know.
Just to change to just cutting 50K from planning. Which was one of the largest increases in the budget.
Yeah, you know my big deal on that.
Is there consensus on that? I've seen some. Yes, okay, I think I got it set out. Next
Okay, this one might be an easy one, because she already said we could do it. This is the facade, 20K. The professional services under tourism and economic development.
Yes.
It still stayed in there, but the department head already did say that they have applied for a grant and received the grant, they're gonna administer the grant instead of doing this program this year.
Correct.
Here, here.
Is there consensus on removing this 20K?
Sure.
Okay, I thought so too, but it was still in there, so that's all. Okay. Can't get nothing for the audit. All right. Okay, this one has to do with the, we already said combine the duties of the assistant town manager grant compliance. When we combine these duties, nixing the town manager support from Berkeley, that's 25K. Currently, there's somebody serving in that position as the support for the assistant town manager. It is Mr. Anzavino, I was gonna say Anzavino. Once we hire the position, we would reduce the hiring services.
Because if we hire an assistant town manager, we don't need that contract anymore, right? Or are you saying mixing the contract now?
No, I'm saying when we hire. Right? Because the two items are gonna balance each other out. You hire somebody, you're spending the line item, or you haven't hired them and you're spending contract services. Is that
Yes.
Yeah, that's a no-brainer.
25K?
Yep.
Consensus? Right. I think we handled this one already. This one says removing the part-time side allocation from planning and zoning, we're going with the 50K instead.
Yeah.
I'm gonna put that over there. Yeah, this one has the most green ones. Just one does first. Green, yellow, and the same thing. Customer service rep and finance, this was funded for 6 months. I will tell you, it's only about $9,000. Or 10,
This is a new position,
it's a new position.
and who's doing that job now?
We currently have one full-time customer service rep, Laura Brewer. And we have our AP person has been trained and she does part-time on the counter. And then I have my staff accountant can also run the counter if needed, if for some reason Terry and Laura aren't there. And also Mr. Adam Schaefer runs the counter. What we're trying to eliminate is Adam Schaefer not running the counter at all because he is supposed to be my assistant.
We're functioning now with what we have?
Yes, but it's taking time away from other staff members doing their own jobs.
If I may, Madam
Yeah.
Mayor. Again, harkening back to, I don't know if I ever quoted you this much before, Kenny, but harkening back to what Kenny said, what we don't fund, we don't have. And I think the last place we want to take money away is from customer-facing people in order to improve the service there. Okay, because I've been there, you know, we're picking up stickers and all that good stuff. And they're doing all they can do. So I think that's $9 grand well spent, quite honestly.
It's just up for discussion. Anybody
I
else?
would say I agree with Mr. Wood, and I think, and we've heard the citizens, whether it's social media, neighbors, whomever, say they wish that the town had more staff to be there for customer service and pickup, so.
Okay.
That's one of our biggest complaints is we don't pick up the phone.
So they
Because if we're busy with a customer, we can't pick up the phone.
Funding this will never get that complaint ever again.
Yeah, right.
That's a lie.
Say never, but we will try.
Okay, so we are not cutting it, I'm not seeing consensus right now, so I'm just gauging that. All right, I'm putting it over. This one's got 3.
Okay. Cut contract services by 10%. Up for discussion?
We've effectively done that, haven't we?
We've done some cuts in there already. Are we,
Combine it with the other contract cut piece.
Yeah, it's very broad.
I think it also needs to be,
Too broad.
I think it needs to be cut, maybe cut 10% where we're not contractually obligated to pay the contractor.
okay, I think there's, where we're not contractually obligated to pay the contract.
Yeah, I did that one, and I didn't necessarily mean across the board, but find 10% in different places where.
We kind of have done that though, between the Berkeley and the,
Yeah.
Like-
where you went down possible.
you want me to keep it in on this side? And put it up here with where,
We obviously can't cut it through things that we're contractually required to, so.
by contract.
Gotta pay your bills.
Okay, we're not obligated by contract?
I mean, we could cut it, we just have to pay more legal fees, right?
Yeah.
Hal, are you ready for that one?
Okay.
Now, you be quiet about it. You know more legal things than you, but.
Just to be clear, I am part-time.
We're cutting you.
But also, my agreement was a proposal. You are not contractually bound, so I hope you aren't talking about cutting me 10%.
So, what are we, is this
So
still
will
too,
remind us what we were paying before we hired Hal?
is this, yeah,
I think I saved you about 8,000.
Easily.
easy. Okay, so maybe not legal, you want me to put that on there, make that clearer?
Include it to say not legal.
Okay. Do whatever legal says in this document.
Sorry, Val, we're trying to cut your salary.
If legal says that will put us in a lawsuit, don't do
As
it.
long as you can continue giving us everything that we need for the same price, I'm good with it.
Okay. All right, I'm down to, these are pretty much, I'll go with the one without a red sticker on first. Okay, the possibility of no raises for the administration, so raises for public works and police, and smaller raises for administration. So I think that's just the salary adjustments.
Yeah, so wasn't that considered in the salary adjustments, and is everybody getting a raise across the board, or what does that look like now?
There are positions adjusted within the framework, and then everyone is 2%. Is that right? Yeah, so that everyone does have something,
Department heads included.
correct?
So I'm
Yeah,
unclear.
hold on.
Not the town manager is not.
Oh, not yet, that's true, not the town manager, she's contracted by us. Not the town manager.
And so what are they asking us to do?
This one is no raises for administration, maybe they didn't know that the town manager's not included in that?
I agree with that question, don't hit me. I was just thinking if we can give everyone a raise, or next year we promise our admin a bigger raise. And this year, maybe we can't give everyone a raise at once, we can do our public works and police since they're short-staffed or work, and are you guys as well, I know. And just maybe making sure all our admin get a raise next year.
There's no bad suggestions, okay, we're coming into this to open mind, everybody, we appreciate it.
I wanna know who the admins, what positions the admins are, what is considered.
And I was thinking the directors,
So department heads.
the department heads, and again, maybe with the stipulation that at the retreat, we say, yes, we want to fund them next year for a raise, it's their turn. Just maybe we can't afford to give everyone raises at once, maybe, just a thought.
I seldom disagree with Councilperson Brown, but I'm not sure I agree with her on this one. I think it probably creates more animosity than helps. If we're going to give raises to everybody but the people who are are going to be upset.
Scenario. I've seen that play out before, just so you know, and it was rough.
Just a suggestion.
And honestly, I congratulate the forward thinking on it. It's just, I'm wondering about the effect that it has on staff, I'm quite honest.
Okay, so I'm seeing not consensus on it, and I'm putting it over here so we can focus on, focus, okay? So we got another one here. Downtown Tony Beach and Chamber received a lot of donations, can we cut the donations for both of those?
Yes.
Downtown CD and the Chamber of Commerce.
So I don't think we should decide whether or not to cut support for our organizations based on how much they're getting. Because I don't know what it means by a lot.
Oh, I think they
Yeah.
mean they get donations from outside entities.
Okay, so the chamber doesn't get donations. The chamber is a member-funded organization. If you're a member, you pay your dues, and they raise their money through the Visitors Guide. And then they put on the events, and there's theoretically make money on those events. So that's a little bit different from Downtown Colonial Beach, which doesn't generate income. They might get a few donations. And I see those as, one's a 501c6 and one's a 501c3. So I
Okay, so
see
your
those
point,
different.
let's separate the two. Downtown Colonial Beach. Am I getting consensus? I'm seeing not. Seeing lane basis, I'm gonna cross that one off. Chamber. I'm seeing lane basis, I'm not crossing. All right, so this one's going over here. Unless I hear, okay, I'm moving forward. All right, this one's got 3 and 1. We're almost there.
Okay.
5 more, 6 more. All right, eliminate the PR, I think that's the press position. Public relations, that's you, I don't know what PR stands for. Public relations position and engage a local marketing expertise, sorry, the sticker's on top of the word. Use the Downtown Colonial Beach, the Women's Business Network, the EDC, and the Chamber instead. This is the PR.
This is to eliminate that contract position.
Yep.
And to find a way to generate the PR that we need by working together with the organizations that are dedicated to that.
It's $36,000.
Does that include our website development? Does that include hosting? Does that include, what does this include?
So that contract provides for working on and maintaining the Visit CBVA website, tourism, as well as provide a newsletter and provide press releases and things of that nature.
So a question, would we forget about who has the contract? Will we still need to have that function fulfilled by somebody? Because we're not gonna be able to get it for free. I mean, we might get a hometown discount, some of the other things, but we're still gonna need to have money in the budget for that purpose.
What if we reduce the budget line item to 20K? And then we have 20K to fulfill the need in some capacity, but we have to go back out to.
Do we know what 20K buys us? See, because what scares me is we're kind of picking numbers out of the air, right? And we don't know what 20K is gonna buy us.
I do think that Visit CBVA, VA has gotten a lot of, again, just according to social media, and even some of my friends up north, it gets a lot of traction, so I would be nervous to cut that for tourism. It seems to bring a lot of revenue.
Okay.
Just my thoughts.
I'm not saying cut it. I would like to see, I mean, honestly, I think I've asked, I would like to see what is supposed to be done under this contract and compare it to what's actually being done in a quantitative way.
Okay, so maybe that's direction for the town manager, but maybe not a budget item.
Correct.
Absolutely.
Mr. Williams, you look like you want to say something.
I've gotten a lot of questions from constituents as to what we're really getting for all that money, so I would be in favor of at least cutting it in half.
And I'm in coming days, 18, I'm not seeing consensus though with the council.
I would question how we can renegotiate the contract to identify the items that we want specifically. Like if we only want add pictures to, visit CD or whatever the thing is, or like break down the cost per what we're getting out of it and only paying for the items we want rather than whatever the services are providing. So yes, eliminate some of the funding, but identify the exact items that we want out of
We
that.
just say reduce instead of eliminate,
I'd say renegotiate.
renegotiate.
Yes, that sounds like a renegotiation of that contract because, if I go back and just ask for some of the needs that perhaps are not currently being provided in the contract, what the cost would be for those needs, and then eliminating some, that are currently on the contract and getting back a quote for what that would be.
When's the expiration date on the existing contract?
If there's an automatic renewal clause on, that contract, but if I'm not mistaken, it is the end of July.
I don't like automatic renewal clauses on something that's, that is dependent on performance. I think we should look at it on an annual basis for contracts.
Okay, I think you have some direction coming out of this from multiple council members, just to summarize, to renegotiate and,
If necessary, put it out for bid.
So can I get a list of some of the things that you would like added that's?
Well, I think we need a list of what is provided so we can see what we want, either deleted or added.
okay, in the budget though, just so I'm gonna bring it back to the budget, are we leaving the 36K in the budget, or are we reducing it at all?
I think we need to reduce it right now.
I would say renegotiate the contract for the July timeframe to identify which items we don't want to have, to reduce it by X amount. I don't know what that X amount would be, but at least we're eliminating some of that.
Okay,
So are we telling the town manager that when she comes back before us, when we're ready to vote for budget, okay, if she tells us this is kind of the shopping list, okay, we have to be prepared to say, pick those items from what she comes back with.
well, I will tell you that in order for her to get the budget to us, we do need to allocate a particular portion of amount of money, and whatever we can get within that, we can talk about that later at a different point in time, when we're talking about the actual contract.
And since there's, already a contracted price, we can't reduce that while we're still within the contract terms.
Right, but I really would like to see this type of contract put out for bid and not automatically renewed.
The power that we have as council members right now is to reduce the actual item in the budget or leave it the same. That's the current discussion we're in now.
And I would say we leave it the same because A, we're gonna be paid at least into July. And secondly, we don't know what we can buy from this vendor or some other vendor.
So let me see if there's consistency, so leave it the same, you can say reduce.
Reduce.
Yeah, reduce. Reduce,
Reduce.
reduce,
Reduce.
reduce, reduce, okay, so reduce is have it, we're gonna reduce it. Give our target 20, 25, that puts 11 out. I'm trying to. We gotta put a number in the budget.
Yeah.
Okay,
50%.
is this 50, says further? It's like an auctioneer. Split the difference, 20?
I say 20.
20,
I'll go with 20 because I'm afraid we need that tourism. I know a lot of that comes from that. And we know public release is really important too.
they are very important, I agree.
I'll go with 20.
20,
Back to,
consensus around 20.
back to my earlier statement, you can't always get what you want, but you get what you can.
It's not, perfect, but yep, it's as good as you're gonna get, right? Okay, eliminate the interns or student interns, this is $6,000. How many interns do we have this year? 3, and they are currently hired with us.
No.
No? No, seeing no shaking, no shaking. All right, let's go over here.
What services are they providing?
We have one in finance, one in economic development, and one in planning.
2 of them were valedictorians from Quincy High School. For $2,000 for the whole time. Okay, all right, we got a couple more. The SDI contract and planning and zoning, this is a contractual service, SDI to do plan checks,
Yes, for stormwater management.
for stormwater management, is that something we can do with Berkeley or anybody else?
Yes, I don't know if Berkeley has those services. We've been using SDI for a number of years to do that. We possibly could reduce the level of the reviewer to save money for doing most of our stormwater management.
Good job, Don. All right.
Is this something that the person applying pays for, or is this something that we pay for?
Right now, the applicant is paying a small portion of that. The town does take a loss in on those fees. I'm going to be bringing to the council in the near future a request to update at least for stormwater management plan checks, asking full cost recovery. So there'll be a net zero impact on the town's budget when we get stormwater management plan check requests.
I like that idea.
Okay, so how much? If we reduce the technician, if we can cut it SDI in half?
I would need to be honest with you, I would need to evaluate it. I can tell you that the person that's plan checking stormwater management plans is being paid at their highest rate, so that can be reduced. I don't know what the second or third tier below that, what that rate is, but I think it will definitely save some money. How much, I don't have that with me.
Are there other firms that you could get quotes from? Other firms to get quotes from?
That's always possible, yes, ma'am.
Okay,
So my recommendation would maybe, cut 40%. And as Don said, add that cost to the developer. And that way, that 40% is only covered by the X amount of time that we have to make until we get to recovery. We should not be losing money on any of the fees within our services.
Yeah, so if we change our fee structure to that, we can do full cost recovery. And then
Right, that's what I'm saying, if we cut 40% out of this, that gives us time to do
Yes.
all that
Yes,
and meet those requirements, and then at that point, it's zero cost for us, and that goes away.
yes.
okay.
Yes.
Am I hearing
Chicken,
consensus
big
on
brain,
that?
chicken. There you go.
That's 4K, 100% out of SDI.
So we're talking about, would council have to vote to change what you're saying? Like, would it be a
Yes, sir, because
publicly
it's,
advertised?
yes, because you would have to vote to change the fee schedule for that.
So we're not putting that in the budget
No.
as an assumption because we have to vote.
We have to vote on it, but we are reducing the SDI contract by 4K, which also would mean reducing the technician that's doing the thing.
Okay.
I thought we had done that already, honestly. I know it came up to us before.
Staff, myself only recently learned about that. And so it's something that I've been.
Maybe it's something we had said we were gonna do and it slipped through the cracks of previous.
That's correct.
Developer has
There was consensus under Mrs. Easley for you guys to have her publicized for a $325 fee rate, but then she resigned and it just fell through the cracks.
Okay. Let's get that done.
So let's get some.
All right. Okay, this one, I think we might have covered it, maybe not. This one says eliminate the grant writer's employee and contract as needed for specific grants. So when we said combo, this is about having a grant writer on contract service instead of as an employee.
Right, but not the administrator,
Right.
just to write a grant when we have a grant identified that we want to go after.
So the ability to contract someone for grant services as necessary, which means that in the budget, we would put a line item for contract services dedicated to when we needed to contract someone to write a grant, since we have eliminated the grant writer position and combined it with the assistant. Correct.
Is there a company that does that or something? So-
There are lots of them.
Okay. And so we could maybe cut it in half or a third or something.
20K?
Yeah.
We gotta put a dollar amount.
What is the current salary for the grant writer?
So so
So-
grant writers don't work on commission, right? They can't do that under their code of ethics. So if you have somebody, if you have a grant you wanna go after, you have to determine, you know, how much information do we already have that's ready for this grant? How much is staff gonna have to pull together, and how long will the grant writer take to actually do the grant? And it depends on the grant. If it's a federal grant, it's a lot of time, but you have to weigh against that, what's the grant gonna bring us? Is it gonna bring us $6 million?
So here's the deal, in the budget, we can allocate a particular amount of funds, and then that may help us make some decisions about which grants are worth pursuing, because we are contracting the service for it. We will then decide whether or not that's, the town manager will decide whether or not it's worth using the funds to do that.
Plus,
We can have an amount in the budget allocated to this purpose.
isn't that what the administrator is for anyway, is to direct them to administer the grant writer, right? So they would identify the opportunities that are worthwhile going after, and then determine whether to use that particular contract employee.
Yeah, I think all of that would be based on the priorities council set. So if we say, like, we have a very high priority right now on water and sewer, and we are going to be pursuing grants for sewer. Right now, we have free services from Moonshot, which is kind of one of these companies that does things like that. They're for free right now, which is great. But let's say we had a priority, like pursuing funding for our sewer infrastructure, we would say we need a company like Moonshot to get us there.
I got it, but that's what our administrator is for. is
We
to
had to
direct.
put a number in the budget.
Oh, understood.
Yeah.
I was just gonna say this is no different than our standard government contracting stuff that I do for proposal writing. It's proposal writing, grant writing, same kind of thing. You got milestones that you have to hit and do all those things to identify the funds. What we probably need to do is have a kind of a threshold of the amount of information that we have to have on hand, and have like a go or no-go determination to say, you know, we can do this because we have X amount of information. I know that's admin off the table, but what was the salary for the grant writer?
Salary and benefits combined, $170,806.
107?
170.
107.
For what?
Salary and benefits for grant writer.
For the grant writer and administrator.
No, that was just for the grant writer. We don't.
But his duty.
He was doing both
was to
jobs, yes.
administrate. That was what he
And
was supposed to be
benefits.
doing.
That can't be right.
It wasn't that high.
I do remember seeing something like that.
Yes, so the proposed salary was 79 just for salary alone. With benefits on top of that, it takes it up to $170,000.
Why is
Oh, I'm sorry, there's gotta be we've had some issues we found earlier that there were some.
I was gonna say,
There were some, I'm sorry. You know, these things.
I saw that.
Because I need to get me a job in the town.
Look at Robin.
Okay.
He was like-
Okay.
Foster did.
91,756. There was a wrong formula in there, so.
But we are combining, the assistant was only funded for 6 months, we're funding a full-time assistant, so half the size over there. So we have about $40,000 or $50,000 in that cut. How much of that would we reallocate to grant writing?
I say 25,000.
25?
Yeah, if we need more, then we would have to figure it out.
Well, and to David's point earlier about the ARPA funds, that may be something that you say we're pursuing something that's going to achieve a capital improvement program, maybe we would allocate one-time funding.
Right, that's why we don't want to go hog wild on our ARPA funds now, so.
Right, okay, so 25. there consensus behind 25? Just still a savings of at least $25,000. Okay? All right, now down to park maintenance crew person. Back to these were the parking lot items, park maintenance crew person. Give it. Don't do it.
I'd say keep it in for the town manager's consideration, let her talk with the people that are currently doing that job, the intern and the assistant, or the part-time Parks and Rec, and how close are we to finding a Parks and Rec full-time director, and let her take all of that into consideration as she does it.
All right, she says leave for town manager.
I apologize, is this for the position that we do have, or we're gonna be hiring this person?
This is a new position.
New position. And this person would specifically be for park maintenance, like Chris was talking about.
Park maintenance support and Parks and Rec.
That salary was 22K.
Because it's a 6-month position, it's 44, and you funded it all.
Is that the one that Mr. Ruffey addressed for us earlier today?
Yes, that's correct. It was sitting in the parking lot, bringing it back.
I have a separate question, but related.
Okay.
Do we currently have a Parks and Rec director position publicized for hire currently?
No, because Sally is, filling that position on part-time.
So when we fund it in this next budget cycle, will it then be advertised?
What is the salary for the director of Parks and Rec? I would best house.
Seems like it went up to 80,000. Decent.
I have the funding here for 6 months because we only budgeted for 6 months, which means we would not be able to advertise this position until January. Salary and benefits of $50,947.
All right, I say keep the Parks and Rec maintenance person and Nick's the director. We can wait 6 months, we can wait another year.
All right, so he's saying Nick's, keep this, Nick's the director position.
That's if Sally's willing to keep doing it. She's
Well,
doing it.
that's a very good point, David, that's a very
Well,
good
she will also have help now because she'll have a Parks and Rec maintenance person to help her out.
She's part-time,
Understand?
and she won't get that person for 6 more months still.
Okay, but how long
Give
is,
her, sorry,
how long is someone going to be willing to do a job, part-time, with no benefits, I'm assuming, right?
Correct.
So again, one of the reasons that we raise salaries is to improve morale in our staff and to make sure that folks are up to the living wage. How long has Sally been in that position now?
Well, she was the.
This is her second year doing it. This is her second season anyway.
So, I would ask my fellow council members to take a look at that. And I think that we would be in danger of losing a valuable employee who has already given the town 2 years.
I take he's the director and makes this one, just so you can write that.
we haven't advertised for a director. If we're gonna postpone advertising for a director, I think this should be a full-time position. To give her the assistance that she needs.
With a part-time director.
She said the director was $50,000 for only 6 months, means it's $100,000 for the year. Correct? So if we're hiring, I would rather hire 2 part-time maintenance people for $40,000 and spend $100,000.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Sally's gonna hang in there with us. She's doing, she's.
I don't know that she is, to be totally.
Well, if she
honest,
doesn't, then we have to reconsider.
We don't have a director, I don't know that she will have the support.
And Sally agreed to, because Sally originally was the part-time assistant parks director. And when the full-time parks director resigned, she said that she would help out and can only serve, would only serve in a part-time capacity until a full-time director was hired. And so she has, with her second season,
She's doing
started
it.
it, and so her original position of assistant director, we kept open, because she has indicated that she would like to move back to the assistant role, still in a part-time role.
So she doesn't want the full-time position.
Correct.
Okay, then, it's a moot point, I'm sorry, I misunderstood.
What about hiring full-time, reducing the hours of the part-time assistant to make it 20K instead? And then get rid of the maintenance person, that's saving $20,000.
What if we just say like we did with the other one? Cut 20K
So,
from the department.
from the department, and that 20K is from the department budget as it stands with the full-time parks and rec director.
However, the town manager and the department head.
Yeah, but I'm saying, we're cutting 20K from what? A full-time parks director, a part-time assistant director, and
A full-time.
an intern, a reverse intern, and now
Crew
a
member.
crew member, 20K from the whole line item.
Yeah.
Right? I'm good with that.
I don't see the numbers working out that way.
You think it's well, they would either, I mean, they can make a lot of decisions about that. They can hire somebody at less than that for a director position. Quite frankly.
There you go.
Our manager come back to us and say it's not gonna work, and I found somewhere else. So,
In order to do this, you're hiring a director in January of next year. That's, you're talking, and you're spending $50,000 from,
I
I
don't,
understand, but you're talking about it even still. You're not putting $100,000 in the budget right now. You're talking about 20K out of what's currently there. So then you wouldn't be able to hire that director more than likely until March of next year. So, and then you gotta pay him $100,000 the following year.
so
Math doesn't matter.
what I'm saying is that however the position seems to work out, maybe it's not, maybe it is.
The only way that works is that you cut your park and rec maintenance person that's 20K.
I say send it to the town manager, let her discuss it with her current employees, and ideally, we'd like to see it cut 20K, but you bring it back to us, whatever you think is gonna work.
I've got a question, is the Parks and Rec director, is that 57,000 with benefits for 6 months?
Yes.
So we're paying them
I thought that was
130?
the crew person and the director together.
Well, the person is non-existent at this point.
Neither one exists.
So, is there wisdom, and let me ask you, Ms. Tucker, would you be willing to talk with Sally and see if she'd be willing to stay on her present capacity? And,
With maintenance people.
That's not both those positions in the 57, then where's the park maintenance person? Where's this crew person at in the budget? No, that's Sally.
That is, that's the salary and the vendor.
I'm sorry, I thought Sally was in the part-time one. Hold on, I think there needs to be some clarification on that. Let's go. I think the 57 is 2 people for 6 months.
And I also want to bring the council's attention that the Parks Master Plan does call for a full-time Parks Director.
And we have one. We had one. Okay, so the crew person is not in that line item?
Yeah, it's, you're right, it's the director and approved person.
So 57 was both of them for 6 months.
Correct.
Not one. So what is just the director?
Per year, 85,000.
Per year,
Per year, 65,000.
that's what I thought it was. Yeah, not $100,000 for Parks and Rec. Correct.
Well, I would ask our Parks and Rec liaison, what would be your recommendation?
Oh,
Oh, I'm sorry.
it changed.
Oh, it did, okay, sorry. Okay, so, would you recommend that we look to fill that position full-time, Parks and Rec Director? Or would you continue with the part-time person that we have now?
I'm telling you, the part-time person we have now is not gonna stay.
Okay,
if we don't
well,
have a
then-
full-time person.
I'm trying to get there.
Okay,
So,
but I think you're doing a scenario, that's not
well,
okay.
Yeah.
All right, so now does this make more sense, Mr. Allison?
It makes more sense, I just don't I can't get past the, I gotta wait till 6 months to pay for something. If I can wait 6 months, I can wait a year.
6 months in January before our season starts, so there is that as far as Parks and Rec is concerned. But I understand what you're saying. I'm saying you just want one instead of both. Am I getting consensus around any of this? Is this still a parking lot item? Is it a no-touch item? Do I put it over here?
May I ask you a question actually about a couple of line items in the park section, because we're there, it might help a little bit.
Sure.
So if you're under Parks and Rec, just a couple little things. Subsistence and lodging, I know it's pennies, but just trying to figure out where it's going. You had $100 for subsistence and lodging. It said reduced by 5%, now it's $237.50. It says more events in fiscal year 2025. Dues and association memberships, it said reduced, but that increased also from 119 to 151. And then community outreach and events, I understand it was a new line, but that's an additional 3,700 for 3 movie nights. Supplies, supplies went from 5,300. I thought it was gonna reduce, but it stayed at 5,300, and went down by $12. So there's a couple items, but that's just me being new to this.
Let me tell you that for the spreadsheet, there's a column missing between last year and this year of what the initial requests were from the department. So it was reduced from the initial request of the department, not necessarily from last year. Does that help understand but there's still, your question is still valid, I'm just explaining that on that spreadsheet, so I wanted the print big enough to read it, because the print's like this big, and you do all that stuff.
Okay, and that actually, but I'm not gonna start this discussion, I'll wait till the end, because I'm sure we'll go around, but there's a couple items, and I think that may explain my question, but.
Okay.
So, Madam Mayor, is
Yeah.
where we're at, that we either need to decide to fund a full-time public works director.
Parks and Rec.
Parks and Rec, forgive me. Sorry, Chris, sorry about that. Sorry about that.
I'm gonna stick to the original item was not a director, it was the maintenance crew person. It was a maintenance person, it was $22,000, it was funded as a 6-month position, it's not somebody who currently has on staff.
I'd say we eliminate that.
I'm with Mr. Williams on this,
I thought-
but I don't know if I have consistency. No, we gotta know, okay,
I agree with Mr. Williams, I say eliminate.
okay?
Eliminate Parks and Rec maintenance person.
Maintenance,
That's it, that's what,
that's the question.
over the director.
Other than that. I agree.
Okay, so this one goes to town manager. So I had crossed it out, but it stays. Okay? All right, the last one up on the board that was in the parking lot is going back to the 3 reverse retirees. I will tell you, I'm not in favor of this one, but that's just me, and I just put it out there to have a conversation. Obviously, there are a lot of stickers on it, but, so maybe that's not a popular opinion.
So I guess,
What is it?
It is $69,000 for 3, retirees.
so those are positions that would cost a lot more if we funded them as employees. What positions are they, and do we need them?
It is a, assistance in public works in, the county, payroll, no,
Office assistant.
office assistant in public works. It is a former retired Virginia Beach employee, by the way, who has dedicated about 40 years of their life to this town. It is IT support.
So let's go, the office assistant. Do you need that position?
Public Works has had one for a long time. We lost it during COVID. She's answering phones when Julie's unavailable to, when there's lunch. There's always somebody on the phone at least 3 days a week. So all in all, it's a needed position.
So I say keep the reverse intern for that one. We can get, if we can get a,
Okay, so let's split them apart. All right, so we got one in public works, we have, this is to keep the person in public works.
I don't think we want to eliminate service for folks trying to get a hold of.
Okay, because it's, yeah,
Yeah.
constituent service, customer service.
I'm just curious, why is it under the town manager's budget if it's more of a public works position?
Interns are historically, allocated under public works, and I can disseminate, what
You mean allocate under the town manager?
allocated under the town manager's, budget, and then I just send it under.
They do hop around sometimes.
And where are the other 2 reverse interns?
One is IT, we have no IT person on staff.
Okay, and the third is with a
Or is helping Sally right now. in Parks and
And
Rec.
that's the floater.
And so it's close.
Yeah, see, and that's the floater position, and because Sally needs help, primarily the work, is done with Sally.
If in 6 months, we actually can hire another person with a floater change to another department as needed.
Yes, because we do have other departments that could use that assistance.
I say keep them.
I say keep them, but I want to hear from other people.
We keep them. One of the things I think we have to remember is that it's 70 grand. Okay, and we're not up to $453,000. So I just want to make sure that folks have eyes wide open on that. But I think it's money well spent because it costs more to take care of a vital service than public presence.
I don't know, there's gotta be some kind of a trade-off. I mean, she's got 70,000 interns under budget plus 100,000 or whatever for assistant town manager. You gotta, give and take. Gotta cut something.
I don't think these people are directly supporting Natasha in any capacity as
Not at
direct
all.
support.
Not at all, they are there to help, in other departments where we either haven't been able to fill a position, or they need the assistance. So none of the reverse interns, nor the summer interns do anything directly for me.
And I think we want to take a look at, we don't want people calling Public Works and not being able to get a hold of somebody, okay?
Well, you know,
We don't have an IT director. So we have someone who's functioning basically as a help desk for a lot less than it costs elsewhere. So we have certain responsibilities to our constituents and services that we have to provide. And so that's going to cost a certain amount of money, okay? And if we're doing it cheaper than it would cost us if we did it the way some other municipalities did, I think it's a good deal.
the other thing that I would like for the council to consider is that these are highly experienced retirees doing things for $23,000 a year. There's no way we could fill those positions and pay them part-time or full-time. And if they're incredibly dedicated to the town and valued and can be moved from one department to the other as needed, I think that's a pretty good deal.
I will tell you, this whole internship, the reason why it's under the town manager budget is because this was an innovative idea of the prior town manager. Actually won an award at ICMA for bringing in retirees as reverse interns. And I think that sometimes maybe that term has been used in a way that makes it sound like they're less qualified because they're interns, but they come with an entire career of experience. And they come at this much reduced rate. And so it was a bang for the buck concept, and that is why it sits under the town manager's budget, but they have not been in the town manager's office, they're not her personal assistants. And I think there has been some misconception that these are free people that work dedicated to getting the town manager coffee or something, you know? And that's just, so I think that having an understanding around what they do and who they are is maybe part of, you know, the line item, just not having that.
I also, and maybe it's just my personal opinion, but I like the idea of having employees that work for the town for, like you said, 40+ years. We're still including them in the town, and we have a lot of senior citizens in town. I don't think it's a bad idea. I think reverse interns is actually a really good idea. So I would, at this time, just not be for cutting them.
We are not paying benefits for them, right?
No, we're not. And the town of Columbia Beach has been asked to actually present on this innovative idea of ours. It was a very, very competitive process when this was submitted to ICMA, and this innovative response to addressing staffing needs and staffing shortages. So I think it's in September when the ICMA conference will take place in Pittsburgh. We've been asked to come and present this innovative idea, and ICMA has already shared it with other localities, and other localities are excited to implement this innovation in their towns and communities.
Question.
Yes.
I'm just curious, obviously these were funded somehow, some way. I'm not sure if council ever approved it, it wasn't in my time, and I guess India hired these people, so she hired them. How, did she eliminate other positions to hire these, or where did the $70,000 come from? It's kind of like the assistant town manager was hired with ARPA funds. How did this money come into D and now we're struggling to cover it? I don't understand.
My understanding is she had a contingency line item in the town manager's budget. She needed support in different areas. She used it as a stipend, and that's why it was called a reverse internship. It was not an employee at all. It was just like our other interns, our student interns, right? Where you're gonna get a flat rate, you become an intern, and that's how it always got off the ground under the contingency fund to get done the things that she needed. Now, our auditors are telling us that that was all good and well to get off the ground, but now these people have contributed to your entity and our employees, and then in the audit, you need to treat them as such. And so the budget now has gone from being a kind of like a contract service line item to a employee line item.
But they're not getting benefits. They're waiving their
Well,
benefits.
they're not only that, they're over 65.
They work part-time, we're not required to pay them benefits.
That's my understanding of it, though, Mr. Rick.
Sounds like council doesn't have the appetite to eliminate them, so I'd put that off. I mean, I'm not gonna speak for everybody else, but it doesn't sound like anybody has the appetite.
All right, we're moving over there. We're gonna take a break now. Everybody stretch, take a bathroom break. It is until 9. We're gonna do the items for collaboration that's happened in this, and since it's building that's happened in this, we're about to do now, is recap for Natasha, for Lisa, for the town staff, the exact things that we've itemized here, so that they have very clear direction. With the ultimate one being the one that says bring us back a balanced budget of these things, okay? All right. Start with this one. Combo, town manager, and grant administration. When you do that, and you hire the combo person, Nick's the Berkeley town manager support. That's one of the exalted line items.
What are we doing exactly? Are we gonna vote on this stuff, or?
I'm recapping the whole package right now, that's what I'm doing right now. Cut 50K in planning department. Cut 4K from the SDI contract in planning department. $4,000. Remove $20,000 for the facade program from economic development, we're not funding it this year, they're doing grants. No civic clerk subscription.
Do we know what that was? Cost?
That was 14,124.
All right.
Can you keep what you're talking?
Renegotiate the public relations position and services, $20,000, budget $20,000. Cut contract services by 10%, we're not obligated by a contract and not legal obligation. Eliminate the grant writer as an employee and put $25,000 as contract for the ability to do specific grants. For writers. Nick's park maintenance crew. All right, this one is allow the town manager to do one-time purchases with ARPA funds. That is the AV video upgrade and the parking meter.
Just to confirm, that was 20K for the,
AV upgrade.
AV upgrade and 11K for the meter.
This is what it
Oh,
is.
I just wanted to double check, because it seems like there would be more things, so there's no like equipment purchases or anything in the budget, it's one time, just those couple of things?
The workstations, that's $30,000.
Because the only things that are one-time expenditures, everything else is reoccurring every single year.
Well, things like buying new weed whackers have to be done every year, or things like buying paper has to be done every year. So there's certainly purchases that are in
Okay.
Those are specific one time,
there. One time.
they're not gonna be put next year's budget.
And the last one, send the budget back to town manager, have her balance it with these requests. Okay, now that I've recapped that, that's what we've gotten to. I want to give an opportunity for each council member to, bring up anything else that they'd like to at this point. I want to make sure everybody's been heard through this process. If you haven't already spoken on something, please feel free to, and I'll just go down the line to allow for everybody to have opportunity. About the recap and Maria. Dr. Sullivan, can I start with you?
I have nothing to add. I'm good with that.
Ms. Brown?
I'm good with that.
Did you have additional questions? I'm sorry.
I didn't, now that I realize there's the missing column, I think most of my questions were answered.
I apologize, I should have explained that before. Mr. Allison?
So to add to this is rough estimate was we would be saving about $195,000, which is not quite the 254 that we are hoping for, like at least a 1% increase. So maybe like 1.25. We're tallying numbers here, just kind of giving everybody a level set of the potential. That would be the requirement to come back with a balanced budget. That's all I have.
Okay. Mrs. Robinson? Okay, Ms. Williams?
I do have a question for Lisa. We talked earlier about the grant writer position being 170K written down in the budget. Has that been accounted for, that extra 70, some 80K?
There was an error in the formula on the spreadsheet, but then let me look at it real quick. The numbers, when I made the correction, let me see if they changed, because I think the number that was brought into the salary was actually coming from a different line or column in the budget than the one that had the error in the additions. I just want to make sure the number at the bottom line is still the same.
The 170 was the incorrect number.
Correct.
Okay, so that's not actually,
Yeah, so but where it was pulling actually into the budget sheet was coming from a different column. So the column I was looking at had an incorrect formula. And I have made a separate note to check all the formulas again.
okay. I don't really think I have any other questions. I do appreciate council taking the time and going line by line with this. This is something I've been asking for a while, so I do really appreciate that aspect. I would like to, at some point, I know that council can go through and line by line and pick stuff, but also like for next year's budget cycle, I would actually like the town manager to come to council with a balanced budget. I'm very nervous about the numbers. At one point I asked the 6 months salaries, if we just fund stuff for 6 months, how much difference is that? And it was like 350,000. I'm just really worried of what next year's budget's gonna be like if we're balancing it like this with the, kind of a needle and thread situation here. So I want to, be cautious about what this is going to turn out to be in the end. But overall, I'm glad that council was willing to sit down and do this. Thank you.
My only input is I want to congratulate you, Madam Mayor, for facilitating this. This is actually an old software development technique that Kenny and I both know. It is a fabulous way to get to one central goal when you have widely divergent views. So I want to thank you for that. I don't know if you're a Scrum Master or not, but maybe you ought to be if you're not. So thanks.
I was in the Peace Corps, that's all I got. It's like a third world country out here.
Thank you.
Okay, I want to ask the town manager and Lisa, is this clear? Are there questions?
No, it's quite clear. Thank you very much.
Oh, yes, Heather.
The SCI, when we were discussing it, it said cut 40%,
Yeah.
apply fee to developer, and then you told me cut 40.
Because it's $10,000 and 40% is $4,000.
It says 125,000.
It's for all of these things in here.
Uh,
The SBI is
because I
just
said
one of them.
stormwater cleaning checks.
Yeah.
So I just
Yeah,
wanna
no,
make sure.
I asked about that at a prior budget and there should have been there should have been a comma there.
Okay, so the
because I read it the
40%
same way as
40% of
you.
the 10K.
Correct.
Okay.
Because Natasha gave us the breakout of all the contracts.
Where are we at?
Yeah, I had the same question earlier.
Where are we at?
Okay, any other questions from staff? Natasha, you have any questions?
I would like to make, are we wrapping up?
Yep.
Kenny keeps talking about 1 or 1.5% increase to the meals and lodging tax. I am still adamantly opposed to that. To put that burden, whatever it is that we're still short on one small group is not equitable and it's not guaranteed. So I would say, you know, if you can get us a balanced budget that you want to present to us without that, it would have my support. I will vote against an increase in meals and lodging tax, period.
Perhaps we can truncate this. Does anybody on this council have an appetite to raise real estate taxes? I personally do not.
I think that's a redundant question. Nobody has an appetite to raise real estate taxes.
I'm trying to show you, madam, that there isn't sufficient votes for a real estate tax increase. And so we can go on and on and on and around and around and around.
I'm telling you, there's not an appetite for raising meals and lodging tax either.
Okay, we have heard both points of view. We had also asked this question several times in prior meetings. And we are getting to the point where we do indeed have to pass a balanced budget. So I just want to make sure there's a timeline, a process, a legal process, that if we were to go in a different direction at this point in time, we would have several notification requirements to have to meet. Staff would have to start doing that. I mean, we may even, what's today's date? Is it 11? It would be super tight. We would have probably 2 extra meetings. So I just want to say, if there is, want to go in that round, that would need to be decided. It really should have been.
If I can follow up on that.
Sure.
But we were presented with options for a budget originally. And we said, and we had a discussion, and apparently it did not get in the minutes, but a discussion about advertising at the highest rate necessary to balance a budget. I was shocked to see that advertisement come out at a property tax rate that would not balance the budget. So I don't know how that happened, but we didn't give direction on specifically what to advertise that rate at. We were presented with options, and we should have advertised it at the highest rate in those options.
I think there might have been some miscommunication, how that was, I thought that was clear. Yes, Mr. Williams.
I agree with Karen on that. I would like to make a motion that we send the budget back to the town manager, and for her to come back to us with, no increased budget proposal.
Okay, is there a second to Mr. Williams?
With no increase in.
In tax rates,
In any tax rates?
correct.
I second that.
All right, that is on the floor. Is there further discussion on that?
I think that should have been addressed prior to this meeting, to let the staff know that, to do that before this meeting happened. Otherwise, this meeting should have never happened. We could have just had that discussion and had it done. The point of this meeting was because we weren't going to meet the requirement for the proposed tax rate for the meals and tax. It was voted no. In order to do that, you're slashing everything that we just talked about. Saving any money, you're basically cutting every single position. You're cutting the director that nobody wanted to get rid of. You're cutting the other positions that nobody wanted to get rid of. Those were not the options that were listed on there. So if a balanced budget was something to go to zero, then we would have had to go $453,000 to delete off this list that we did not do.
All the things that people put red stickers on. Yes, Ms. Robertson.
Just a reminder, obviously, as we've said many times, we do not want to raise anything. But in this inflationary time where I know my grocery visit is 20 to 25% higher than it was. I know that all goods have gone up, and we have to
realize that these things too do. I mean, it's that cyclical time. And as I said, none of us want to be in this position. None of us want to see that kind of number. But we have to do the right thing.
I don't mean this in a negative way directed towards any council member here, but it kind of what the vice mayor just said, if you want a balanced budget, then you should have found $453,000 over the past 3.5 hours. But we didn't. As a body, we did not. We pretty much agreed on everything. So if you think that we should balance the budget, then I ask you, council members who don't agree with the mayor or some members of council, find the other $300,000. Find it.
That's why we sent it back to the town manager. She can make additional recommendations to balance the budget.
And to be fair, I mean, spending has gone up from 2020 by a little bit over $3 million. So we steadily, and the Berkeley Group's saying that we're spending 7% more every year. Our spending's outpacing our revenues. So there's got to be some ways to make some cuts and save.
Mr. Williams, what do you suggest after we just sat here for 3.5 hours? I'm not trying to be confrontational, but I just don't know what else I'm lost at what else we can do. None of us want to raise taxes. This budget is no fun, but at least with this budget, we can reduce the meal and lodging. If we even pass it, who knows? But we also given every employee in this town a raise, and we have taken care of some important things, but I don't understand the last minute disagreement when we've been sitting here discussing this.
Ms. Brown, to be fair, all you have to do is vote no for my motion. That's all you have to do.
Okay, we're discussing it, and I will, we haven't taken a vote yet.
It doesn't have a right to,
Thank you.
yeah, to voice of opinion as well.
The instruction, the motion was to send it back to the town manager to come back with a balanced budget.
At 0 increase
And
across the
zero
board.
in tax and 0 increase, yes.
Yeah.
Now, she can find other ways to make that happen. She needs to bring it back to us.
Yeah, town manager, do you think that that is possible?
Lisa, I don't think that within this short time frame that is possible. Do you agree?
To bring back a balanced budget without any tax increase, I don't think it's possible. We can bring back a balanced budget. We could possibly reduce the increase for the meals and lodging, but I don't think that we can do it without raising something.
All right, we'll take a vote on the motion on the floor, okay?
So the motion is to send our budget back to the town manager to come back to us with a balanced budget with no increases in taxes and any taxes.
Which she says is impossible.
Well, that's what the motion is.
I just want to make sure.
I know what she says is impossible.
Okay,
But
yep,
if we give her direction,
how do you vote?
I vote aye on this motion.
Nay.
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 Aye.
I'm giving the staff an impossible task. All right. Is there a motion to have an amended balanced budget within the parameters as we have advertised thus far on the items as discussed?
So moved.
Second. Is there further discussion on that?
I would recommend amending that to making the lowest possible increase to facilitate a balanced budget.
Yes. I accept the amendment. Rick, I think you need the official motion and so you can accept the amendment. Okay. Vicky, do you agree?
Yes.
Okay. All right, so the motion's been amended to the lowest possible rate. Okay. Is there any further discussion on that? Okay. Start the other side. Mr. Woods.
Aye.
Ms. Williams.
Nay.
Ms. Robertson. Aye. Ms. Robinson.
Aye.
Ms. Brown.
Aye.
Ms. Buckle.
Nay.
Okay. All right, I vote aye, and so now we make a motion there. Can I have a motion to adjourn?
That's a big positive.
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, adjourned. 9:30.
Thank you all very much.
Thank you.